Sometimes things don't go quite as planned. And that's where I sit right now because I just got off the phone with somebody who had set up a co-creation session with me. And we had some technical difficulties. So we weren't able to get into the online studio and we weren't able to record. But since we were on the phone together, we were talking a little bit and we ended up talking for about a half hour. And even though I wasn't able to get it recorded to share with all of you guys, it was really fulfilling. So I just wanted to kind of talk about where I'm coming from as far as my intentions are concerned and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is my episode on my intentions to help people. Everything is working out for me. It's working out for you too. It just takes believing that it is. We can have, be, and do anything. The key is to care about how you feel and choose to feel good right now. Being in a position like mine where I'm offering individual coaching, and I don't want to say therapy because I'm not an acting therapist when I work with people in these co-creation and private personal alignment sessions. It's more of a coaching kind of thing. But really, that's what therapy kind of is. You're in a position where people come to you wanting guidance. And even though a good therapist doesn't give advice, a good therapist still kind of coaches and offers guidance around the obstacles to help a person get to where they want to go. I came out of this phone call realizing what it does for me when I'm in this position working with somebody and how we really have this co-creation vibration going on. They're coming to me for information about what I know and my knowledge base. And I'm offering what I know while also weighing in on my intuition because messages come to me through my own alignment based on what somebody else is expressing that they want in their life. And I share that with them. But in turn, it also is very fulfilling for me because I can feel their hope and their positivity when we're talking about this. And I truly feel the empowerment that resides in them. And that's why this feels like kind of a conundrum for me, because I know that everybody has that. And a lot of times, if you've listened to any of the interviews that I have done on other people's podcasts, you might hear me at the end talk about that, because my message at the end is usually about empowerment and how you don't really need anybody else to get the things that you want in life. And you don't really need a coach or a guide or a therapist because all of the guidance that you need is within. It resides in you. That is my truth. I believe that to the core of my being. And I will continue to encourage that kind of empowerment in people because I am not looking for any kind of dependency here. Though people are coming to me and I welcome this, and this is mutually beneficial for us. In these sessions, what I really want to do is plant that seed of empowerment that I'm here for you, and I am happy to share my knowledge base with you, and I'm happy to allow my own intuitive guidance to focus on you and what your desires are. But at the same time, I want you to know that your ability to find that information is accessible and you don't need anybody else. Tuning into yourself is the place where you find answers to everything that pertains to you and your life. But as I sat in this session, I just had this sense of meaning. And I thought I would just jump on here since I'm not recording with this individual right now, and I already have the studio set up. I figured, why don't I just talk about it a little bit? Because it's something that's really coming forth for me right now. I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the podcast, and it's put me in this state of contemplation where I kind of could go two different directions. I could go down the path of taking the podcast into new areas of growth and discovery, and I have a lot of ideas about that. And then there's this other path of maybe I just take a break from it altogether. And that's where I'm living right now, teetering and tottering toward either of those directions. And it's not really a place that I enjoy being. I kind of like having my direction. I'm a planner, and I like to have that sense of drive. But I've been feeling some discouragement lately because even though I am offering these coaching sessions to people, I'm having a hard time with my reach and finding the right people to come to me who are looking for that kind of guidance. And I know it's there. And I also know that I'm the one blocking it for whatever reason and in whatever way. I know that I have resistance in my trail, and no one can put it there but me. So I'm working through all of that. And then I get little glimmers of, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. And this is why I enjoy this so much. If you were a podcaster, then you may have heard of the term pod fade. And I learned about that term early on when I started podcasting. And I thought, that is never going to happen to me. I am so passionate about what I'm doing, and I love it so much. This is it. I'm in it for the long haul. There's nothing that could get me off of this path. Well, here I sit, teetering and tottering with that very same notion of fading out. And so I'm understanding it a little bit more. I'm understanding where the resistance is when it comes to podcasting. It's really difficult to devote so much time and energy into something that you're not being paid to do. There's no money flow for all of my energy, for all of my hard work. And it's a lot of hard work. And so that can feel discouraging sometimes. But then I get a great idea, right? And I can't wait to talk about it. And I go through my process of thinking about it and getting excited about what I'm talking about and really truly feeling like this is something that I am here to do for a reason. So then I find my passion again. I imagine it's like this with so many things. Even if you are an employee of some business, or you have your own business, or you're getting paid for some kind of effort, I imagine everybody goes through those times where they think, do I want to keep doing this? Is this really what I want? Is this really what I'm here to do? And I mean, it happened to me when I was working as a therapist. When I was in school for psychology, I thought this was it. I'm going to become a therapist. I'm going to have my own private practice, and I'm going to enjoy working with people, and that's going to be my career. But that is not how it has gone at all. I spent 5 years as a therapist, and then I got super sick, and I thought, I'm too stressed out. I can't do this job. And then, of course, my default is always go back to school, further your education. Maybe then you'll make enough money to feel satisfied in your role. And to be honest with you, that has been a huge motivator for me. When I was working as a therapist, I was making $18 and some odd cents. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was under $19 an hour with my master's degree. Just sit with that for a minute. With my master's degree, under 20 bucks an hour. And I remember talking to the other counselors that I worked with, and they told me that I was getting gypped. they were like, wow, that's all you're making? And I was like, yeah. Why? What? Is that not what you're making? So money is important, and feeling valued is very important, especially when you're working for somebody else. And I think that was a big part of my issue, was that I did not feel like my efforts were being valued monetarily, and they weren't. I was the low man on the totem pole, but my effort was way up at the top. I had over 80 clients on my caseload, and I was putting in 100% in working with those people as much as I possibly could. It was getting to the point where I was starting to kind of get sloppy because there was too many to keep track of. But I have always been a good worker. When I work on something, I do it to the best of my ability. And places usually enjoy having me as an employee because I do go above and beyond in my position. So when I found out that I wasn't being valued in my salary, I think that contributed a lot to my state of health, my own mental health, which then showed in a really physical ailment kind of way. But I still valued helping people and being in that role where I'm giving a lot of care. I just realized something. I think that's what's going on with me right now. Caring for others has been something that's been at the forefront of my mind for a while. I've been talking to my husband about it because I feel like I'm at the end of my rope with taking care of other people. And I've asked him to step up and take care of the kids more, like just meeting their basic needs, getting them ready for the day, feeding them, because I feel like it has overwhelmed me. It takes up so much of my time and energy, and all I really want is a reprieve. I just want to be able to take care of myself and not have to worry about anybody else. Taking care of other people can be draining. And I don't even necessarily want someone to come in and take care of me. I just want the luxury of not having to take care of anybody else. That's really been at the forefront of my state of being lately, which may be contributing to me teeter-tottering with the podcast, because so much of my time and energy and effort goes into producing this podcast for all of you guys. And yet I have no monetary gain from it at all. So I'm doing all the giving and I'm not doing any of the getting. And I think that my cup is empty. I'm feeling like I'm giving too much care and not receiving a chance to just take care of myself for a little bit. So I really feel like I'm working 100% on the podcast and 100% as a mom and a wife and a daughter and, all those other roles that I have with the people in my life. And so it's just a lot of overwhelmment right now. And I'm just kind of processing this as I came to this realization that giving care is really at the foundation of my frustration. But then I go and I hop on a co-creation session with somebody and I feel fulfilled. I enjoy that. I really enjoy the act of creating the future with someone else. And it's their future. It's the way that they want it to be. And I get to contribute to helping it become that. And there's something so powerful about that. And I get a lot out of that. Like even right now, I feel like my energy is rising just thinking about it. I want you all to live the most satisfying and happy life possible. At the core of what I want in the world is for everybody to be happy. And I know it's possible. And so when somebody comes to me to help them with that, I light up because I feel like I really have a lot of knowledge on how to make that happen. And aiding someone in applying that knowledge is very fulfilling. So I'm not burned out in that way. I have been feeling burnt out with giving care being a caregiver. But when it comes to that, that's different. That feels different to me. That feels like what I'm here to do, at least at this point in my life. It feels like that is aligned with where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life and what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's possible that those other things that are helping me to feel discouraged is because it's taking me away from that. All my time and my energy that's going into this podcast and all the time and energy that's going into raising my family is pulling me in those directions more than in this area where I get to really light up and feel good about how I'm working with other people to produce positivity in the world.
Would you like to have an ad-free experience? I know you probably have my intro and my outro memorized by now, and maybe you just kind of want to cut out that ad space, this one right now that you're listening to, so that you can just get all of the content of the episode. Well, if that does sound like something that you're interested in, I've put together a Patreon account, and I'm offering all of the episodes I've recorded so far without that extra stuff, so you just get the content. And I'm also going to be offering members early access to the newly released episodes. So I'll be putting those on Patreon several days before the episode releases on all the other podcast platforms. So you'll be able to listen before everybody else. You can find the link to the Patreon in the show notes. And I'm also going to post on social media, so you should be able to find it on all of my pages there as well. I look forward to getting to know all of you guys better and engaging in some co-creating together. For now, I'll just get back to the episode. See you on Patreon.
But the point I was trying to get at by bringing up the fact that I was a therapist so many years ago is that that's in the helping field. So I've always kind of had that desire to be in that role where I'm here to help other people. I think the problem comes in for me in establishing boundaries and not overdoing it to the point where I get so depleted that I have nothing left to give now. And when that happens, it happens in a really big, really negative way, which then is like an outburst. And then I'm at the end of my rope, I fall off. And there's no grabbing the rope again until I'm able to just calm myself down and give myself some care and really fill my cup back up again. I want to say that a lot of women do this because it feels to me like that's the role that women play in their families, in our society, just in general. But I know that things are shifting. So I'm not going to limit it in that way. I know that out of the other women in my life, I see a lot of this happening as well. So I relate to it in that way, that this is a role that has been a societal norm for us for a while now. And though societal norms are changing, it's still lingering a bit that the women play this caregiving role. And that's definitely the role that I have adopted and one that I have been adhering to for quite some time now. And I guess what I'm feeling is that I'm ready to break through that bottleneck of what caregiving looks like. And I have to admit, I guess I'm ready for a change. And change is coming in a lot of ways because my youngest is starting kindergarten in the fall. And then at that point, it's just me 5 days a week at home doing what I'm going to do. And whether that be the podcast, whether that be coaching, or whether that be sitting and relaxing and reading a book, what I'm going to do is follow those leads that I have within. I really need to turn this around inward and follow my own guidance. And though I'm meditating every morning and I do look inward, I think I could be doing it more. I think that I could receive more if my focus is to receive that kind of guidance. I mentioned that I've been feeling overwhelmed. Well, overwhelmed is down in the lower part of the emotional guidance scale. So that means I'm not in a very good state of creation right now. When I'm in that state of overwhelmment, then I should not be focusing on creating my future. It's not going to go the way I want it to go. Because the way I'm feeling, what I am emitting out into the universe is negativity. And then the universe, law of attraction, doesn't discriminate. It just gives you what you feel. And that's not what I want. So what I really need to do, and thank you for just allowing me this space to just work through this, because that's what I'm doing right now, is realizing what the problem is and how I need to go about addressing it. I just need to go easy on myself a little bit, not put so much pressure on me, not worry about monetizing, not worry about meeting my deadlines, not even worry about meeting my weekly obligation to post on the podcast. What if I missed a week? Would any of you even notice that I missed? Or would it just be me over here feeling that pressure and that guilt and that responsibility? There's a good chance that that is how it would be, because all of you are focused on your own lives. You're not sitting there just waiting for the next episode to release. No, you're living your lives. But here I am worrying about that stuff. And really, it's not helping me get to where I want to go, because where I want to go is thriving. I want my business to be successful, and I want to be in a place where I can offer the most help to other people, because that's the role that I believe is fitting for me in my life. But really, if my cup is empty, then how much can I really give? So the most important thing for me to do is to work on my place on the emotional guidance scale and knowing where it is and working my way up it so that I can get back into a state of feeling good. Feeling overwhelmed is right smack dab in the middle of the scale. If I go below overwhelmment, it's disappointment. If I start reaching higher, trying to step up the emotional guidance scale, then that means reaching for frustration, irritation, and impatience. And that feels easy to me to do. Like, even just saying that to you, I feel like I was pretty impatient this morning with my kids. And that's improvement. That's improvement over feeling overwhelmed. So as I think about that, I can allow myself to step into that feeling and go, yeah, I was really impatient with them. And it wasn't their fault. I went and put too many things in my morning that I wanted to try to get done before we left the house. And yet I still was impatient with them because I wanted them to do exactly what I wanted them to do when I wanted them to do it to keep on the schedule. And then I got impatient with them. Now, if I want to reach further, the next step up is pessimism. And naturally, I am not a pessimistic person. I'm usually more optimistic. So reaching for a state of pessimism is a little bit of a struggle for me. But given that I have this conversation going about my state of being and my career, I could probably find some thoughts that allow me to feel pessimistic about my success or my progress with the business, with the podcast, with my coaching. And I could probably just go and say something like, all of my efforts are for nothing. And you know what? That kind of resonates. Saying that resonated a little bit. So, it didn't feel good. Allowing myself to feel that right now really doesn't feel good. But I also feel like it was kind of like acknowledging some pain that's been there that I hadn't really put words to. And I think that is the truth. I think I have been feeling like all of my efforts are not worth anything. And having a belief like that is definitely hindering me to thrive. So let's see if we can reach for the next one. Stepping up from pessimism is boredom. And I think it's fairly easy for me to find a state of feeling bored. I could even be bored with this recording right now. It really had no structure. There wasn't a lot of momentum. It's just me talking. Finding that state of feeling bored is now 3 steps up from my original feeling of overwhelmment. So that's good. That's taking it in the right direction. The next step up is a really powerful step, and that is finding contentment. If I can get within that realm of content, then I feel like that's neutral. That's not positive. That's not negative. It's neutral. I'm fine. But I really want to keep that momentum of stepping up the scale. I don't want to slip back down the scale. And from contentment, I really feel like there's a teeter-totter on that one. And you really could take it either direction. And the direction you decide to go will either go toward positivity or negativity. It's really at that border between the two. So finding a feeling of contentment, let's see if I can do that. So it's only 2:00 p.m. right now. And that means that I have another 2 hours before I have to go pick the boys up. And that feels content. I feel content with that. I feel content knowing that I'm almost done with this recording and I will have time to do a few other things before I have to go get them. I feel content. So now I have to step into the positive realm. And that means stepping into hopefulness. So here we go. Because I'm really, really hoping that the next time I come in to record, I'm in a better state of positivity when focused on the podcast, when focused on coaching, when focused on my family and my kids and giving them the care that they need. I'm hopeful that I can feel that way again because I've felt that way before. And I can even reach for those feelings right now. So that means stepping up into positive expectations or positive belief. And I feel like I can do that because I really, really believe in these things that I talk about on the podcast. I really, really do. I really believe that law of attraction brings me what I think and what I feel. I believe that I have control over that. I believe that I can create my future. I believe that the podcast is going to be successful. I believe that my coaching business is going to be successful. I have believed that from the very beginning. I remember telling John, this is going to be big. This is going to be huge, and it's going to change our lives in a really big way. And really feeling that belief. And I have that still. And it just takes me getting back into it, lining up with the belief, so that I don't fall back down into some of those negative beliefs which contradict it. So now I have to reach for enthusiasm, eagerness, and happiness. Usually when I go to reach for happiness, my kids come into play. And I think about moments that I have with them where they make me laugh. And it happens all the time. My kids are so funny. And I love their sense of humor. And I'm really, really happy that they chose me to be their mom. And I feel honored and happy that I get to spend every day with them in some way. I'm happy when I witness them playing well together or snuggling, or even when they are trying to get something from me. And so they hug each other and love on each other and then look at me like, look, Mom, we love each other so much. It just makes me happy that they know that I want them to love each other. And they know that. They know that that is important. They know that I have their best interests at heart. And they know that loving each other is that best interest. That makes me happy. So now we move up into the next step, which is number 2, and that's passion. When I go to passion, I think back to when I first started the podcast, and I remember feeling so passionate when an idea would come to me and I was like, I've got to talk about this. This topic is so wonderful, and I'm receiving all of this great information from my inner guidance, and I want to share it with everybody. And I really feel like sharing it with everybody could offer everybody some useful information which will contribute to positivity in their life. And that was where my passion was born for this podcast. And that's where my passion was born for the coaching. Because I truly want to help anybody who wants to work with me to better their lives in whatever way they see fit. And I will support that with my knowledge of how to do that. I still feel so passionate about that. All right, so the next step up, joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. All of those have the same vibrational frequency. And I'm already feeling so much better than when I first started this recording, just by moving up the scale in this way. So now I have to reach for appreciation. And the easiest form of appreciation that I practice every day is appreciating my bed. I do it when I go to bed to fall asleep, and I do it in the morning before I get out of bed. I love my bed. I even say that to my husband all the time. I'm like, I love our bed. It is so comfortable. We have a sleep number bed, and we have pillows, which I searched for years, probably 7 years before I found a pillow that I really, really love. And I lay in bed appreciating it, literally appreciating the comfort that I feel, the warmth that I feel, the squishiness of my pillow and the cool pillowcase on my cheek, and feeling the moderate softness, moderate hardness of my bed, because I'm kind of in that middle realm, and the comfort of the blankets. And I just love my bed so much. And it's always easy for me to get into a state of appreciation when I'm in my bed. Appreciating my bed is just kind of more of a physical appreciation, right? I'm appreciating the conditions which surround me being in bed. And it doesn't have to go there. I could go for unconditional appreciation. I could appreciate knowing that my inner being is conspiring to give me everything I want. That I appreciate knowing that I am source energy, that I am an extension of source energy. Knowing that I have the ability to create my future. Knowing that I am living what I have already created. And I could really get into all of the unconditional elements of life and who I really am and appreciate that. And that all feels wonderful. It feels really good. So this was my example. And thanks for allowing me to work through it with you guys. I worked my way up from state 11, overwhelmment, all the way up to state 1 of appreciation on the emotional guidance scale. And that's something that I do in coaching with other people. If we know where you are on the scale, then we can move you up the scale. And once you're in that state of appreciation, then that is the state to start creating what you want, focusing on your desire, getting specific about it, and reaching for the way it's going to feel when you have it. That is creative power right there. First, the emotions have to be there. You've got to be in that good feeling state. Otherwise, you're not going to get the good stuff coming to you. And so now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling really good right now. So I'm going to sign off for this episode, and I'm going to go focus on what I want in my life and get specific about it. Good things are coming for me, and I know that good things are coming for you too.
If you're enjoying the podcast, you can show your support by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. You also can follow Dr. Williams' podcast on all social media platforms.
and subscribe on YouTube and by going to www.drwilliamspodcast.com. Deliberate creation is the key to living life satisfied, and that is my wish for all of you.